So my buddy's back, who's full of disasters, and we're going to try to change the brakes on this car. We're also going to teach the driver of it, his daughter, how to do the brake job as well as changing a flat tire. So we're going to go through those steps right now. This is a 2002, right, Honda Accord. So let's see how it goes. All right, let's see if we can get the tire off. This is a practice as if we're on the side of the road and trying to change the flat.
Try to loosen with your hands first.
Okay.
So that's really typically not going to work. The best thing to do is if you put your foot on it, kind of like lift your weight up on it and let the weight of your body press down and turn it. So step here, step right near the edge. Yep.
Like this. Like
Yep.
right here.
Yep. And lift yourself up. There you go.
Look at that.
All right. And I'll do the others. Loosen them all up. Now we have a wheel lock.
This one has a wheel lock, so we got to put the key on there. So here's a tip. Take the wheel lock by itself, hold it up there and turn it until it fits in, because it only fits in one way.
Oh, I think I got it.
Yep, now you do it.
Good.
So there you go. That's how you loosen the lug nuts. You got all 5 of them. A young woman who couldn't do it by arm strength, you use your body weight, put your foot on the lug wrench. Obviously in the shop we would have other tools to get that off, or we could put a pipe on the end of that wrench for more leverage, but when you're out on the road and you don't have that, your feet work. Let's jack it up.
This.
So the jack is usually tightened in place so that it doesn't wobble, and you just need one of the tools sometimes to loosen it up a little bit.
Oh, you do it like this.
Seems like somebody I know might have put that in there the last time.
Are you trying to
I don't know who that would be.
someone with vice grip hands?
Yeah.
And you don't have to close it all the way, just so it wiggles and pulls out.
Okay, so what do I do?
So find the jack point underneath.
So the jack point on this car, front and back, has those metal tabs sticking down, so you get the jack centered right under that. There's a little notch in the jack.
Now this is what you use to turn it.
Okay.
It's on this hook. No, you're never going to do it. It's on this hook because it swivels. Okay? So this lets you get different angles.
I see.
Is that easier?
Yeah.
And every so often, after it's lifted up a little bit, check and see if the tire turns. And that'll be an indication you're up high enough. When you have a flat tire, however, you want to go a little higher because an inflated tire is going to need more clearance.
Tire's probably good now.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how you do it. So an alternative is using a star wrench, and you keep one of those in the trunk of the car, because these can be easier when you put it on the lug nut. You have both hands you can use to torque it, as well as you can spin it. But you hopefully never have to do this when you're out on the road. It's just kind of a last resort. Doing it the easy way now. $12mm on those slide pins.
I need a smaller.
So what are you saying? Your car is leaking propane?
Yeah.
Which it doesn't have? Everything breaks. I'm gonna give the pin a little extra bend. Hopefully that'll keep it from coming out. Ratchet is not holding. I think that'll hold it. I do smell gas over here. Yeah. And just don't let that hang from the hose,
What is this?
from the brake hose.
I don't know if
That's your e-brake return spring.
And just like last time, look at that.
Fall right out. Okay.
Just tie up.
Lower caliper bolt is really hard to get to. We're going to try taking these slide pins out, pull that assembly out of the way, see if that gives us a little more clearance. Yeah, that gets us in there, so now we can get the impact.
Thing in a little while. Be damned if I can visualize how these things go back on.
Using that 3M silicone paste on the slide pins. That's ready to go back in. There's one. Clean those off a little and put new slide plates on. All right, now that's ready to go back in. Get the rotor off and just take out these retaining screws. Now we can see our mounting points for the inner bracket a little better. And putting the new ones on, you just got to make sure you line up screw holes. Pads in place. Now we gotta screw in the caliper to make some room for it. Want to make sure we're not spilling brake fluid all over the engine compartment. I just kept going until it was kind of below the rubber boot. It seemed like it wasn't really moving at first, and then I kept turning it, and it eventually went in. On these slide pins, you got a 12mm bolt head, but there's a backing nut you got to hold with a 17mm wrench. Quick.
Yep.
So push it out with your foot in the bottom. And hand tighten it with one lug nut near the top or bottom. You started?
Yeah.
Start one on the opposite side. You started?
Yep.
Take your foot away. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, it's not coming off.
So these slide pins were a 14 millimeter. Loosen those up. And the caliper comes out. This one is attached just still on that hose, so you want to make sure you don't stress that hose. It'll kind of sit on the tie rod there, although it looks like it wants to fall over, so we'll put a little piece of wire around it. That'll be fine. And now we got to get the, we can take the pads out. Yeah, those are pretty well worn. There's only a couple millimeters left on those, on the inner one. Maybe 3 on the outer. We'll have to get those back bolts out because we're going to change these rotors as well. Ready?
Come.
Okay, that wasn't too bad. It didn't move.
Slides first, right?
Slides first, yep.
Don't keep asking.
There's those two, and our frame is out. Now we can go back to the bench, change out these brackets, and clean up the slide pins. These look in better shape than the rears. I think with these we just clean them, re-grease them, and yeah, it's a lot better shape. 14 for the pins, 17 for the frame.
For the front ones?
Yes. All right, we got to do these brackets. Just gonna clean them out a little.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, that should be good. Now we got to get the rotor off, see if this comes off as easily as the back did. Yep. 2 keeper screws, and the rotor's right off.
How much are you grinding?
So we get the rotor on. Again, we look for our screw hole next to the stud, screw, thread. Get that lined up. Again, we just snug those up. Doesn't have to be tight. It's just a keeper. Have that backwards. Goes on like that. That.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Of course, the outer one goes right in, and the inner one gives you trouble where you can't see it. That's on. And here's where you can see why we have to compress the cylinder, because the pads were worn down. I can't fit the caliper over that until I compress the cylinder in. That's as far as that'll go. Just made it.
One of those.
Then we get our slide bolts back on. Yep, so a 19 on the nut, 14 on the bolt head. And you tighten it until you go.
Tight.
That side's done.
Okay, that's tight. Oh, we got something dripping over here.
What's dripping? Is that water?
No. I think that's, you know what? I think that's from the cylinder, from compressing the cylinder.
Oh.
That might be brake fluid.
That's brake fluid.
Let's look under the hood.
Yep.
It does look wet under there. Yeah. I think that's brake fluid.
A little simple grain cleanup, and your battery terminal needs cleanup as well.
Bangs and stuff like that. It's like, that's
Yeah.
not acceptable nowadays.
Can't quite do it with the wheel turning, huh? No, we'll wait till we lower it down.
Okay.
Brake lights off.
That's good. Must have done something right.
You don't want to test them before we hit 90?
See, when I stand on it there, the brake light came on. Almost like, oh, that's a level thing. Maybe we need to check the fluid level.
Take 2 seconds. Plus, I got a bucket of fluid too. So. did lose some.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna hit them hard.
Not like the good old days where you can lock them up on the side.
Not my car, so I'm not hitting it as hard as you might.
Oh, if you crack your window, you hear it? You hear it too? Yeah. When he slows down, when he hits the brakes a little bit, listen, because if you have to bring it to the shop to have somebody look at it, you're going to want to describe it.
Not hearing it now.
Nothing.
Yeah, okay. I think that was all just braking.
So why would a rotor make noise for braking?
Well, it's just the rotor and the pad meshing. They're not going to be perfectly machined surfaces that are perfectly parallel. So it's kind of wearing off the little bit of pad to fit the rotor. You can see the fluid level there right between min and max, so the fluid level's okay. We're going to top it up a little.